Hi everybody, it's me, Jordan Long here, and today, they're going to talk about, a difference of, how agree, disagree. Well, Jordan said, usually something like this. A lot of people, when it comes to talking to yourself. Now, people are going to say that talking to oneself is a social taboo. Why? Some people are going to say that it's not a sin or a crime, of course. You can't get arrested for talking to oneself. Yes, I'm sure people could be committed if somebody believes that the person talking to oneself, is either causing harm to themselves or going to cause harm to some, I guess, in some rare cases. But mostly talking to oneself isn't mostly a sinful or criminal act. And the reason why people think that people talking to oneself is a social taboo is because they think if you're talking to yourself, they think, yeah, Lucifer gave you a mental illness, and the symptoms are finally showing up. They're always like, who are you talking to? Myself. Oh, geez, don't answer yourself. I never answer myself, I usually tell stories out loud. I'm not like the normal people where they're a conversationer and a conversationee, if that's even a word. Yeah, well, you just shouldn't do it. Hey, talking to myself, that's one thing I don't really care. Okay? People say people look at you and stuff, but that's not true. When you're in public, most people don't pay any attention to you unless you're doing something that's wrong. People think that people are actually going to look at you. Well, people only look at people, or mostly only look at people doing something wrong, and even sometimes they don't. When I mean something wrong, I'm meaning inappropriate or immature, okay? If someone's doing some type of criminal act, everybody's going to look at that person. They're either going to point, they're even going to comment. But when it comes to an immature, inappropriate act, most people tend to not get involved. They might have opinions of the person. It might, but basically that's just their opinion. Jordan said, am I afraid this person think I'm like this? You know what, Jordan? You got problems. But the only thing that could basically happen is, oh, I disagree with that story you're telling out loud. Okay, Jordan said, so you disagree with the story out loud. Good for you, I guess. That's the only thing that could happen. But any counselor or psychologist or psychologist out there, they basically would always want to know why people, why do I tell stories out loud? And I could tell them I just do it because I like to do it. Not because there's anything mentally wrong with me in the head. Lucifer hasn't given me any, God has stopped Lucifer from giving me, or God has not allowed Lucifer to give me any mental illnesses or whatever. There's nothing wrong with my head. Lucifer didn't give me no mental illnesses. God made sure that didn't happen, and I appreciate that. But the point goes, Jordan says, is that for some reason, talking to oneself has always been one of those social taboos. Mostly, here's where people actually think. People are like, Jordan, you should only talk to yourself when you're in the privacy of your own home. And even then you really shouldn't. Well, Angus, I just want to tell you Janice, I want to tell you right now, Jordan says, is that people don't care if I talk to myself. Nobody looks at me. I guess Jordan said, and talking to oneself is not a sin or a crime. You know, if I was talking to myself and telling a story about how I was going to commit some type of criminal act, and then it would be means for arresting, or it would be means for committal. Jordan said, but most people don't want to get involved with that. So it casts me in a bad light. Oh well. Everybody does it every once in a while. For example, Jordan says, if you stubbed your toe and said ouch, you just talk to yourself because nobody else is around to hear you say ouch. Good point. Before I end this video, for anyone who thinks that they never talk to themselves, every time you hurt yourself and said ouch, you just talk to yourself. Okay? The definition is nobody was around to hear you. People think, oh, does that include books and YouTube and telephones? No. Because when you're reading a book, you're actually reading a book. When you're on YouTube, you're making a video. When you're on a phone, you're talking with someone. So, of course, so the only way Jordan said that the only two things you basically have to be doing for people to say that's okay is either to making a video, reading a book or a magazine or a newspaper, or talking on a telephone or a mobile telephone. And if you're not doing any of those things, well, Jordan said, my experience is people won't really care if you're talking to yourself unless you're doing something that's way criminal or way inappropriate or way immature. You know? So that's about it. I'm Jordan Long, and I hope you enjoyed this video.